Good morning, everyone, and welcome to BGA's Tuesday Morning Coffee Talk. These are our weekly sessions where we provide agents with industry insights. We share product updates, market trends, policy changes, and marketing that will help agents find the sales to grow their business. We post these on YouTube every Tuesday before noon, and for our listeners on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. My name is Trent Zimmermann. I'm your host, and this week we're joined by Julie Udovch, our Regional Care Matters wholesaler from Nationwide. Hi, Julie. Thanks for joining us.
Of course. Thanks a million. Thanks for having me, Trent. Pleasure to be here.
Well, it's an honor to have you. And I know you have an interesting story of how you got into this. So why don't we just start off by you telling us how you ended up in insurance?
Yes, absolutely. I was a caregiver for my great aunt who came to live with my family when I was a teenager. My parents worked, so my brother and I took care of her for 13 years. She had Alzheimer's. So when I heard about long-term care insurance, I knew that I would be a really good person to get into this industry to help people avoid some of the very real things that my family and I had to go through.
So you heard about long-term care, you got into the industry, and how'd you end up with Nationwide?
Yeah, good question. I was working at a brokerage general agency where I had access to all of the long-term care carriers. And I was particularly fond of the Nationwide Care Matters product because it offered benefits on a cash indemnity basis. So, given my background, my caregiving background, I knew how much this meant, giving families a lot of flexibility. So, when I saw that Nationwide had a position open for Care Matters wholesaler for the Western region, I quickly submitted my resume, and luckily, I was able to get the position.
Well, many people know Nationwide as a P&C company, and yet we've been seeing more of their presence in the life insurance market. How long has Nationwide been in the life insurance market?
Yeah, that's right, Trent. We're actually closing in on 100 years. Yes, 100 years helping Americans protect what matters most. Nationwide's been providing life insurance and other financial service products for nearly as long, since 1934, actually. Today, as a Fortune 100 company, Nationwide is a leading top 10 provider of permanent life insurance solutions, which includes Care Matters, which is our linked benefit long-term care solution.
Now, there's other P&C companies out there who just seem to white label other carriers' products, slap their name on it, and that's now their life product.
Yeah.
Nationwide has been building their own. And why has Nationwide made this decision to build their own products from the ground up?
Yeah. Well, we feel it's important to keep our members and their families at the forefront. And we want to deliver the most customer value we can while maintaining a strong capital position to enable us to continue to serve our members and partners well into the future.
So you're touching on it a little bit. I want to dive in a little bit and talk about Nationwide's philosophy. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Nationwide works hard to offer competitively priced solutions that also offer real customer value beyond price. We want our members to experience the on your side promise throughout their relationship with Nationwide. Just in 2022, Nationwide paid out 18.8 billion, and that's billion with a B, dollars in claims and benefits to members. So
Wow,
we're proud of that number because it's our reason for being. Protection is what matters most.
that's huge. And I'm a Nationwide member myself, so I'm glad to hear that number.
Yeah.
So how has that made you more competitive in the industry?
Yeah. So the combination of competitive pricing with well thought out product features allows me to highlight potential benefits to people who purchase our policies.
So we've gotten to know Nationwide more. We've been impressed with your commitment to long-term care.
Yep.
Can you talk about the importance of long-term care to Nationwide's product line?
Sure. Absolutely. So life insurance has been a part of our Nationwide portfolio of products since the 1930s, like I mentioned earlier. We've grown to be one of the top carriers in indexed universal life products and linked benefit products like Care Matters. In fact, we've been innovating in the long-term care space for about 25 years. We were the first carrier to cash indebted long-term care benefits. Care Matters, which is our flagship linked benefit product, just turned 10, by the way. And we continue to innovate with our new long-term care solution for couples called Care Matters Together.
So as this product develops and grows, I know you said you added Care Matters Together. Where does this fit, long-term care, where does this fit in the strategy nationwide?
Yeah. Well, long-term care solutions are core to what Nationwide offers, and it's an area where we've been innovating again for about 25 years. We introduced a long-term care rider on life insurance back then, and our Care Matters Link Benefit product just celebrated its 10th anniversary.
So you've dealt with this. You have some personal experience with this. Speak to us about what the likelihood of anyone having a long-term care event would be.
Trent, that's a complicated question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see numbers anywhere from 50 to 70%. But honestly, I don't think percentages are really the right way to talk about this. You know, either you will or you won't. So it's 100% or 0%, right? It's not like an individual will have a 50% long-term care event. I think it's much better to consider what the consequences would be if you did have an extended care need, and not just the financial consequences, but also the impact on family members and the people who are providing or coordinating your care.
Yeah. So how does long-term care planning fit into sound financial planning with life insurance?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Well, combining long-term care coverage with a life insurance-based solution, it helps people in a couple of ways, right? So first, it creates immediate leverage should a long-term care event arise. Secondly, it can be a dedicated source of funds, which frees up other assets for other goals, whether those are, income, gifting, helping grandkids through college, or even, charitable giving. Lastly, if benefits aren't used, there's still a death benefit. In fact, Care Matters has a minimum death benefit, even if all the long-term care benefits are used. So one of the benefits of a life insurance-based solution like Care Matters, which is, again, a linked benefit solution, is that the premiums can never be increased. And another thing, the long-term care benefit will not decrease as long as premiums are paid and there are no loans or withdrawals from the policy.
So for our agents out there who are listening to this, what are some sales ideas you've seen success with surrounding the LTC rider?
Yeah, absolutely. So some individuals are more concerned about legacy or retirement income. In those cases, it can be beneficial for them to purchase a long-term care rider on their permanent life insurance policy as an additional layer of protection. And there are some individuals, which I'm sure you've run across, who are pretty committed to the belief that they'll never need long-term care. So adding the long-term care rider can sometimes be a good compromise when their spouse is concerned that the first spouse will or might need it.
Yeah. And so what sets apart successful agents selling your long-term care?
Yeah, good question. Honestly, learning how to talk to clients about extended care, bringing it up as part of their entire retirement income planning process. And by the way, sometimes extended care can be a bridge since it's less scary than long-term care.
Yeah.
And don't focus on percentages or dollar amounts. Focus instead on the consequences if they do need extended care. Those consequences can be financial or personal or both. For people who are more, on the conservative side or worried about maintaining their assets, a long-term care policy creates a dedicated, tax-free and guaranteed source of funds for long-term care, which of course can protect their other assets, which, are used by the family or used for their intended bequests for family or, like I said, charities. Think about empowerment for your clients' older selves, right? Having funds available should they need long-term care can give them a lot more choices and options.
Yeah. And people are living longer, and I think we're all developing more and more of these stories that can bridge that gap.
Yeah.
So with your product, the cash indemnity, I want to dig into that. What's
Yeah.
the difference between paying the individual versus a provider?
Yeah, Trent, I think you're asking about the difference between a cash indemnity policy and a reimbursement policy. I get this question all the time. With a cash indemnity policy, the insurer pays the policy owner directly once the insured meets the qualifications for claim. After that, there's no need for them or the family to submit monthly bills and receipts or separate out unreimbursable expenses from reimbursable ones. The insurer just sends the payment, and the policy owner, and the policy owner and the insured, and it's usually the same person, can spend the benefit with no restrictions from the carrier. There's no need to worry about, whether a certain expense will be reimbursed, and the amount they receive every month is predictable. So, in contrast with a reimbursement policy, only those services that are qualified under the policy will be reimbursed. There can be, third-party billing where the provider bills the insurer, but that doesn't mean that the entire bill will be covered. Some services might not be, like getting your hair done. I know this might sound, like nothing, but helping people maintain their dignity, it is important.
So what kind of person does that benefit fit best?
Yeah, that's a good question. Certainly a reimbursement policy, good fit when there are limited options to help the insured. For example, if they're in a congregate setting like assisted living or a nursing home, reimbursements, it's an option, especially if there can be third-party billing. But of course, it's not a completely worry-free solution, but it might be a simpler way to go for some. Now, with cash indemnity, there are more flexible options for care, more options for home-based care, for example. And we know that's where most care is provided. And it's also what people strongly prefer, actually over 70% when we ask consumers.
That's an amazing number. Can you comment on, I know it's a difficult question I'm about to ask, but the
Yeah.
long-term care laws that are being investigated by, I believe
Yeah.
it's up to 14 states now?
Yep. That's right. Yeah. Well, we know that paying for care is going to be and is a significant issue for Americans right now and in the coming years. Like you mentioned, several states are studying the issue and they will probably come up with a variety of solutions. That said, for people who are able to purchase their own protection, they should consider a few things. Purchasing a policy lets them pick how they want to receive their benefits, how much, and for how long. Life insurance-based solutions typically have a death benefit, so if long-term care is never needed, something can go to the family. Personally owned policies are portable between states. No worry if you plan to retire somewhere, other than where you've been working and paying taxes. So remember, planning sooner rather than later can improve the chances of getting coverage since, as we age, more disqualifying conditions can start to crop up.
Now, you have a version of this product I think we should talk about because it's pretty impressive. It can be tax deductible for a business.
Yes.
Can you describe how that works?
Trent, that's probably more than we can cover in just this interview. But yes, Care Matters 2 has something called separately identifiable premiums. And this just means that the life insurance and the long-term care premiums are split out. The specific tax deduction opportunities vary between different types of employers, whether they're a C Corp or a pass-through entity. And there are nuances around how much is tax deductible. However, these are great ways to retain your key employees and help attract new ones.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Julie. I mean, this is wonderful. We've talked a lot about long-term care on these podcasts with a lot of different people. And so it's good to get an expert on here who knows the ins and outs and how this works, and with a great product like Nationwide's that we've seen.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen you guys get a really strong foothold with our agents. So we're so grateful for you to come on. And as this is becoming more of an issue for us with laws and just personal experience, it's good to get some more information. So thank you again for joining us. And for our agents out there, Julie's a wonderful resource that we have here. And please follow, like, and subscribe for more of these episodes. It gets us access to people like Julie to come talk about their area of expertise, inform you more so you have the tools to go out there and make these sales and make sure people are covered for a long-term care situation if and when that happens for them. So thank you again, Julie.
Thanks a million, Trent. Thanks for having me.